From Miles to Max to Trey, if there's a defensive end that is available or not, we are going to talk about them because the Detroit Lions are in dire need of a pass rush. And although this year's NFL draft is defensive heavy, we don't know what Brad Holmes is going to do. I feel like he's going to take another cornerback because obviously he loves that position. Let me know if there's a cornerback from Alabama that is available because that's probably where Brad Holmes will go. Or maybe he'll draft somebody, trade up and draft somebody in the third round, pick number 96 overall as a project. You never know what Brad Holmes has in store. Yes, you're getting snarky me today because I'm feeling some type of way. What I am sick to death is hearing how the Detroit Lions, you guys don't want to break the bank. You guys don't want to sell the farm. Do you want to win? Do you trust your general manager that he can be able to make this team better without doing that he can make the right decisions? But let me paint this picture for you real quick. Brad Holmes is the same general manager that traded for Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's the same general manager that traded for Trinity Benson. He's the same general manager that traded up for Broderick Martin. He's the same general. And yes, we know all the good things. We know all of that. But what I'm saying is Brad Holmes he's good at some things. He's great at others. And he's just outright horrible at trading for wide receivers. All right. But Brad Holmes, I trust him. I truly believe that they are going to get this thing together. But I am starting to question, or have been questioning since he got here, since year one, is he capable of making this team better on the defensive line? Or will he continue to kind of take the just a guy route? We continue to build through the draft, which there's nothing wrong with that. That is how you set the foundation. But sometimes you got to be willing to make a better move. Now, I understand that we are traumatized by Trey Flowers. We're traumatized by overpaying people. I understand that. You could say the same thing about the people that's on our team. Aiden Hutchinson is about to get a record deal. Is he truly worth it? Or is it because the market has gone higher? I think he's worth it, and I think the market has gone higher. He would have won Defensive Player of the Year. There's no doubt about it. But the Lions have to make moves. Teams who want it all, they do what it takes. We've got two examples, right? We've got a forget them picks and less need, championship bound. We've got Howie Roseman, a risk taker, championship bound. Took Jalen Carter. The year before that, took Jordan Davis. Very few teams wanted, well, there were 8 teams that passed on Jalen Carter because this is a guy that could have gone first overall heading into that NFL draft. So you got to take some risk to get rewarded, all right? Why am I bringing this up? Because we keep talking about we can't afford to pay people. We got to pay our own guys. That's fine. We can't afford to pay people, yet we're paying our own guys. That doesn't make any sense. So the better logic in this is we're choosing to pay the people, which are the guys that Brad Holmes drafts, right? How many teams have 2 elite pass rushers? I don't care. What I care about is what our team has. Now, I trust that Brad Holmes can make stuff happen without breaking the bank. Because one thing that I notice he loves to do is void money or void contracts. He'll kick money down the road. The Jared Goff contract is insane. He's making more money than Matthew Stafford right now. And when I say insane, I mean like you got the cap hit, you've got back end money, you've got a lot of stuff. So the bill always comes due. But if you if you want, whether the player is drafted or not, this is what I don't understand about this logic. Whether we draft the player or not, if they're good, they're going to get paid. Okay? So we can't afford to pay all. Do you want to pay the players that you already have, or do you want to get better? That's what I'm saying. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I see a lot of people talking about that the Cincinnati Bengals are asking for a second round pick, a late second, or an early third. And as I go down the rabbit hole to find out this information, I come across the video where that news came from, and that the speculation, this was speculation. It was said, first it was reported that that's what they were asking for. And I lost my mind. I'm like, holy mackerel. If Brad Holmes don't do this, you're talking about a second round pick or a early third. That's a no-brainer. We're going to talk about the money though, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. So I'm like, yo, so I go down the rabbit hole and I see what actually was said. And this is by coming from CBS Sports. And this is Jonathan Jones. And this came from his initial speculation or something like that. But what it was speculation of what the Cincinnati Bengals could ask for based on a number of factors. Here's what Jonathan had to say.
That Trey Hendrickson is going to seek out, he and his representation, and I do believe, Chris, that there's going to be a lot of interest around the league.
What are the Bengals going to want in return? What are they going to need in return? And where are the potential landing spots? We know everybody can use them, but what are the most likely?
So in terms of trade compensation to secure Trey Hendrickson, talked with a couple of executives via text earlier, and it actually came back almost unanimous, where it would be the Khalil Mack-like trade. So go back to when Khalil Mack was dealt to the Chargers. The Chargers got Khalil Mack. And really, it was about a 2nd-round pick. There was a 6th-round pick involved in there. But for all intents and purposes, let's just say it's the player for a 2nd-round pick. Well, Khalil Mack was also already under contract because Trey Hendrickson, no matter where he gets dealt, will certainly have to get an extension. You're probably going to lessen the trade compensation. So let's just say it's a 3rd-round pick. Go back to last year, Brian Burns got dealt. He was a high 2nd-round pick, but he also got paid. He's also much younger than Trey Hendrickson. So I think probably a fair, you can call it conservative estimate, but probably a fair estimate is if the Bengals can get a high 3, they would love a low 2. But at the end of it, if they are going to deal Trey Hendrickson, it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a high 3 in order to ship him out. Where could he go? Well, there's a number of teams that are going to want a pass rusher of his caliber. I think that you noted that. And just like what we saw in the Super Bowl, there are so many teams that are going to be building in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. A couple of teams that come to mind immediately, obviously the Washington Commanders, obviously the Arizona Cardinals with money to spend, certainly the Carolina Panthers now looking to build defensively. You look at an Atlanta Falcons team that has been trying to figure out its pass rush production from the last couple of years. The list really goes on. If you were in the bottom half of the NFL in terms of sack production, if you were a team that maybe is losing a blue chip pass rusher and want to hang on in that championship window for someone, the Buffalo Bills, for example, we could keep going on and on. It's ultimately going to be who is going to be willing to give to the Cincinnati Bengals a high 3 or a low 2.
Well, he's not a free agent.
And that's where that information came from. It's ultimately who's going to be willing to give the Cincinnati Bengals that type of compensation. Now, the reason I cut away to me is because NFL copyright, the NFL will claim this entire video if you show any of their footage. So I had to cut to me and show off the Ridge wallet. I would recommend that all my fellas, man, want to minimize. You'll be surprised how much stuff you have in your wallet that you do not need. Check it out, man. You can see it on the products below. So you heard what he had to say. Trade compensation is going to be minimal, he speculates, due to the fact of Trey Hendrickson's age, his request for a contract extension. And then we're not going to even factor in the want of Trey. We're not even including some things that he may want. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals have been to a Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions have not. But everyone can tell where the Detroit Lions are literally on an upward trajectory from 3-13-1, 9-8, 12-5, 15-2. Now, I don't think we go 15-2 next year. I honestly do not care as long as we can make a Super Bowl and hopefully win it. That is literally all I care about. Record does not matter anymore. First seed would be fantastic, but as you can see, it really doesn't matter. We can argue whether they were healthy or not. If it would have mattered, it is what it is. We have moved on past that, and we are now, 96 hours, a little over 100 hours, I think, away from the start of the new league year, essentially in 5 days. So you heard what Jonathan had to say. So what would you be willing to give up for Trey Hendrickson? I want to show you guys something, and I want to get your opinion. Now, we know that we're going to have to pay Hutch, and it's a matter of what – I don't think that it's a matter of are you able to pay people. There have been teams that have been hundreds of millions of dollars over the salary cap. At one point, the Saints were like $100 million over the salary cap. Now they're under the salary cap. The teams, yes, the salary cap is a thing. Paying people is a thing. But if you play good, they pay good. That's just the bottom line. Do you want your team to get better? That is the bottom line. What I hear from Lions fans is we keep building through the draft. We keep taking high round picks that are of minimal money because that's how you keep things moving, which is true. But if you want to move the needle, sometimes you got to be willing to fill up the tank. You feel what I'm saying? So here's what SpotTrack has as Trey Hendrickson's market value. I want to know what you guys think, and would you be willing to do this? Now, remember, a lot of us are willing to trade for Myles Garrett, who has 2 years left on his deal. He has made it very clear that he does not care about money. Trey Hendrickson, on the other hand, has not been loud about the money. He wanted to stay in Cincinnati. He wanted security, and I understand that. But either way, we were going to pay. Now, we got to pay Hutchinson. Who said it was anything wrong with having 2 elite defensive ends? I already see the comment section. Well, Derek, that's why people don't have blah, blah, blah. That's not a true statement. We could get 2 elite. I mean, notice what we have on our team. We have Hutch, and I'll cut Zadarius some slack because he was a trade move. He is only on our team because Brad had to make it happen. But we have to pair somebody up with Hutch, whether it's through the draft, whether it's in free agency or a trade. We need somebody of significant impact. All right. Here is Trey Hendrickson's market value. Now, what I don't know if this is including the current year. Y'all ready for this? Market value, 2-year deal, annual salary of $29.7 million. That would put him comparable to Leonard Williams, Danielle Hunter, Max Crosby, and Nick Bosa. Now, you see this name here, Danielle Hunter, allegedly, reportedly, rumored. Brad Holmes wanted to trade for Danielle Hunter at the 2023 NFL trade deadline, knowing that Danielle Hunter was on the last year of his deal, and he was he was a free agent. And he would have had to, but if he would have traded for him, he was on the last year of his deal. He was going to need an extension as well. He was going to require monies. Now, it was going to be at a time where, at that time that we would have traded for Danielle, Penei Sewell was not factored in, or he hadn't been signed, but he was factored in. Amon-Ra St. Brown hadn't been not re-signed, extended. You guys know what I'm saying. That hadn't happened, but the Lions factored in that. So you mean to tell me that we would have traded for Danielle Hunter, who was on the last year of his deal in Minnesota, okay, that had 7 to 8 games, maybe 10 games left. We trade for him knowing we're going to have to pay him the next year, knowing that he was going to get a whole bunch of money, knowing that we were still going to extend Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, knowing that we were going to extend Jared Goff. Now, the difference might be that those guys took a little less money. So how can we do this in 2025? We've got Kirby Joseph. We've got the 2 people we've got to worry about, Kirby Joseph, who is going into his last year, and Aiden Hutchinson, who may or may not get extended. Now, Brad Holmes said that extended right now. Brad Holmes said that they were looking at it. So I totally expect him to be extended. Kirby, the same thing. Add Trey Hendrickson to that, 2 years, $29 million. That doesn't mean that is going to happen. Trey right now is making 16. I think he would be happy with low to mid 20s. You've got a guy making 35 and a guy making 25. And probably a Super Bowl caliber defense if the right moves are made. This is all about making the right moves, not just with Trey, not just investing the money. The NFL is an investment, man. If you want to win, if you want to be the best, you got to be willing to invest. Hey, put that on a shirt, bro. Put that on a shirt. If you want to be the best, you got to be willing to invest. I put thousands of dollars into my YouTube setup before I was making a dime. You feel what I'm saying? A dime. It was worth every investment. So Trey Hendrickson, we're talking about $29 million. That's what they have it. There is no doubt in my mind that Brad Holmes can make this happen. when you pay Marcus Davenport $6.3 million and $3 million guaranteed, when you pay DJ Chark, now I know this is a different time. I know we didn't have the same contracts we have pending and up to be re-signed. I understand that. But if other teams are making it happen and winning games and winning championships, the Detroit Lions can make it happen too. And here's the thing too that I want you to start questioning. Y'all go hate me, bro, because I'm starting to think of all this stuff. Howie Roseman, a Super Bowl winning general manager. Howie Roseman, the biggest cap hit on his books is Jalen Hurts. And they had the number one defense. This was going into or coming off of the Super Bowl win. That was heading into this year before re-signing Zach Bond. I didn't go look at his contract, all that stuff. And extending or Saquon Barkley. Going into this year, he was the biggest cap hit. He also built through the draft. So what is Brad Holmes? We got Jared Goff, Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell. We dropping a bunch. And I didn't go look. You guys can do that, do some homework. Go look and see and put the cap hits, the top 5 cap hits in the comment section below. Jalen Hurts was $20 million, was a cap hit. So Brad Holmes, are we kind of there? Are we in that same boat? So being able to trade for Trey Hendrickson for a late second or late third, that's a no-brainer, in my opinion. You can still do, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, you can still do everything you want to do. You can still do everything you want to do. Next year, we've got to worry about Brian Branch, Sam Laporta. The year after that, now we got to worry about Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay? Jamison Williams, I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, not up for an extension in my book, not yet. And right now, he's not breaking the bank for next year. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Scared money don't make no money. Trey Hendrickson is not Trey Flowers. There's nothing to be afraid of. He's worth every single penny. Trey Flowers got $90 million, 5-year deal, and had 7.5 sacks. You know who else had 7.5 sacks as their career high? Romeo Okwara. And he's not in the NFL anymore, taking photos somewhere. Shout out to him, by the way. So let me know your thoughts, man. We acting real scary. And y'all say I'm not the GM. Neither are y'all. We just having a conversation. But what matters is what he does. He being Brad Holmes. And what's going to matter is, are we Super Bowl champions? Have we been to a Super Bowl by the end of his contract in 2027? All questions that you can ask yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.